to Mental Health Chat Monday, the new and improved version, honey. On this series, we sit down with a brand new guest every single week and discuss their journey with mental illness and mental wellness. Because here on Mental Health Chat Monday, our motto is turning mental illness into mental wellness. I am your host, DDare Bionic. Thank you so much for joining me. I almost said I am your hoe. Bruh. Almost just totally threw the ST off of there. I am your host, DDare Bionic. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you want to know more about me, obviously, like I always say, every episode, my links are all down below. You get it. It's called branding. Look it up. But that's not why we're here today. We are here to sit down and chat with a very good friend of mine, a person that I've known for way too many years, former business partner, rapper, actor, just incredibly talented human being. Jaz Tucker is in the house today. What to do?
What's up, bro?
Hello.
Oh, man. I know why he did that. No.
I have been doing that a lot. Like it's my new favorite thing.
That's hilarious.
My bad Australian accent.
No, I'm glad to be a part of whatever this journey that you got going is. I was actually thinking that last night after you sent me the welcome email or whatever, I was thinking that I was like, dude is really serious about this and really going about this in a professional way. And I was thinking what they say, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And I was like, he's really making this be a thing, and I hope it becomes something, because you're professionally doing whatever the subject matter, you're professionally doing this, and I was that's cool.
I really appreciate that. Outside of mental health is super important to me. It's a part of my life. It's a part of my journey. It's who I am. It's the most interesting thing about me. But yeah, excuse me. After the talkbacks on My Infinite Sadness was really, really what made me want to have some form of content where I could talk to another human about mental health, about their journey, about whatever, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I'm excited.
No, it's dope, man.
I think this is going to be really cool.
I can tell that you're obviously you hope for some type of feedback and views or whatever, but I can tell you're doing this more for what it will probably mean to you and your guests and maybe the people who tune in, more so than trying to be the most popular person.
Yeah,
that's what I was saying. I was like, that's what's up.
I do this truly 100% for the viewer and for the guests.
Yeah, man.
I have gotten a lot of healing and understanding about myself from these episodes and the people I've talked to. But yeah, it's been fun. And every time I do an episode, I'm like, damn, I really like doing this.
That's cool.
It's crazy because I really just sit back and I'm listening to the guests and they're telling me their story and they're getting emotional and they're talking very passionately about healing and growth and I'm just like, yes.
Has anybody ever cried?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I like to thank you for the glowing FX. I appreciate that. I start every single one of these episodes the exact same way. Mental health check. How are you doing? Where are you at? How's 2023 for you so far?
2023 so far is actually feeling good. I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day, and I was saying, just kind of passing chat, but I was actually saying it's funny because people look at me like, oh man, you're so ambitious, you got all these ideas, this is that, and I was like, I'm at that point where it's weird because I know I have the mentality and the capabilities and the capacity and all that stuff to get everything done, but I'm at that point where I have that weird problem of all these ideas and all these things, but you can't do everything at once.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't have a day job, it's
I
Michelle
can't.
Don't get me started on that.
We're not Michelle Yeoh.
That beautiful human being. But anyway, no, it was I'm at that point where it's I got this idea because it's I want to do I got the idea for my next album. Then I got the idea for this music video, few music videos I want to do. Then some freestyles that I want to put up. Then I got an idea for this in studio. Then of course the show that I'm producing. Then I got an idea for what I want to do for the next year's show and probably the year after that. And then I'm okay, can I get back on the audition circuit and act again? It's but so it's 2023 is treating me good in a sense where it's the weird issue of kind of equating it to I'm not rich, but I got too much money and don't know how to spend it.
I feel very similarly to that because I think I told you I started writing for my next album. Well, it's going to be an EP. I decided it's not going to be an album. It's just going to be 6 tracks. Okay. That way, like, all of these ideas that I have, I can just get them out quick. You know, I write fast. Get them out quick.
Yeah, you did.
And get in the studio and, you know, put them out by the end of the year or whatever. But I've got those ideas. I want to turn my Infinite Sadness into a film. I feel so similar to, I'm like, it's like I quit my job.
Even if I didn't have a day job, I wouldn't be able to do all this at one time.
If I didn't have a day job,
I'd be able to get more of it done, of course.
My homosexual audacity tells me that I will be able to do it.
What? Oh, gosh.
Yes, I could do every single thing I wanted to do. Now, would it be good? Yes.
Well, yeah.
Every single thing.
I've adopted, whatever. They both might be appropriate, but you've heard me say, especially after when I did my last album, My Secret Identity, that anything worth
streaming
doing
everywhere is really good.
Thank you. But anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point if you as an artist, a creative, I really believe that no matter how much time something takes you, if you truly believe in what you are doing and you want to give your audience the best of what it could be, don't just rush it out to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
If you're like, man, I want to have this done like by the end of the month, and then it takes you the next 2-3 months, but you're actively working on it. Like if you're dragging your feet, that's on you. Yeah. But if you're actively working on it,
and it's taking a little bit longer.
Take 3 months, dude.
I mean, that's why it took so long for this to come around. Like I used to do Mental Health Chat Monday back in 2022, or back in 2020. But I remember you did kind of
do that, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I wasn't as fulfilled by it because it was just me talking to the camera about mental health diagnoses. And I was like, I'm not the person that should be talking about these diagnoses. I should be talking to people about their diagnoses.
Facilitating the chats.
Facilitating. And I didn't, at the time, know how to make that happen.
Okay.
And now, you know, I'm literally in a different place than I was.
You get time to think and whatnot.
Yeah, and like my YouTube channel is like growing now. It's not fast, but you know, from 2020 to now, I've got way more subscribers than I had before, and all the other social media, whatever. But I'm like, oh, okay. My little feelers are going out, and I see that people are picking up on it. So it's really exciting.
One thing I will say for 2023. And I wonder if I felt somewhat this way last year, or if it's more so this year. But when I first moved out, and then like now, obviously, because I live by myself, and I don't have a significant other, and this is not the most by any means, but I'm like every now and then, like 2023, probably more so compared to like the last few months or so. Like I feel lonely here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I used to, and that's why I say when I first moved out, I felt that way. My mom used to be like, really? And it was just one of them things where it's like, as much as I am content and okay with being alone. Because one thing that I have that I did years ago that you may have heard me say, and I've said a lot of times, is I took the time to figure out who Jaz was, and I had a lot of conversations with myself, and like I used to be afraid of silence because I knew silence would mean that I would have to be in my brain, and I didn't know to be in my brain because, you know, people say I overthink. I don't know, but my brain is constantly firing a whole bunch of cylinders, and I was like, oh my God. But I used to drive with the radio off and stuff like that. So I took time to figure out me, and I know me and all this stuff. But maybe it is overthinking. But then I start getting into the thing of the quote of do you want to be in love, or are you just in love with the thought of being in love?
Yeah. That part.
And that's something that I think about too, because it's like I am very content with being by myself, and I am okay with being alone. But there have been days here and there, and it's like since the year started, maybe a little bit more than the last few months before. But there have been days here and there where it's like feel a little lonely.
You know, I feel like a lot of people have talked about being feeling lonely and like loneliness since 2020. And
I don't even know if it's got to do with it, but I'm sorry. What are you doing?
But I just feel like with that time, a lot of people were isolated.
Yeah.
And literally had to be alone. And we experienced that loneliness. Like even I was living with my grandparents and my mom at the time, but I still felt confined and alone. And, you know, now I live with my partner, you know, we're happy, relationship's great, whatever, but not whatever. But, you know, some of my single friends have expressed this really deep, like not aching, but loneliness that they don't really know where it came from. And I feel like, not to psychoanalyze anybody.
No, please. That's the point of the podcast to an extent.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. But I do feel like having to isolate for so long, having to be alone for so long, we all really kind of realize that like going through life with another person is really great. And the longer we are alone, the more we kind of long for that companionship.
That's actually, I don't know if that fully pertains to me, but that's something for me to think about. The biggest thing that I noticed for myself after 2020 and lockdown and all that stuff, the biggest thing I noticed for me is that I feel like I was always kind of eloquent to an extent, or was able to talk or whatever, but I found myself since 2020 saying and pausing a lot more in conversation.
Really?
That was the weirdest thing. Like, because like I said, I'm in tune with myself to an extent, so I noticed, I was like, I'm saying and fillers a lot and having to think where I'm going more. And I hearkened it to kind of piggybacking off what you said. I hearkened it to not being around people enough to talk enough. So maybe I didn't, talk a whole lot. And now when I'm finally talking, I'm like, wait, I got to think about this more. And, and then, we couldn't be on stage for like a year and a half.
Oh my God.
If not more. So since I couldn't be on stage for that long, I didn't need to do any presentations, so to speak. So yeah, but that was something that was the biggest thing I noticed.
Are you sure it's not old age?
Shout out to your boy turned 32 a few weeks ago.
I did the same thing to Jeremy on his episode. I think Jeremy and I talked in that episode about jazz. This is jazz.
Oh, really? Word.
Yeah, this is the third part of the trio.
Facts.
Those two are the friends. I am the step friend.
He does this all the time.
So just to kind of drive the conversation a little bit. Obviously, this podcast is about mental health. Talk to me a little about your relationship with mental health.
My relationship with mental health is interesting because, like I said, I've done so much, and I feel like I've been very. See, I just did but I feel like I've been very candid with you and a lot of other people. I've done so much soul searching, and am constantly on a soul searching journey. I feel like I never will be done, and I hope I never will be done.
Yeah.
I hope that the more I understand myself, the more I will be trying to fully understand myself, and I'll never stop. But my thing, like I said, okay, so again, I'm an open book with so much stuff in my life, because it is what it is. I did not have friends in elementary school. I've told people that here and there. I don't let it dictate and define who I am as much as I used to, but I feel like certain things will just never go away. I feel like that is where it started, with a certain level of me feeling isolated, or the isolation just probably started from that point. But again, that's why I say that I've had a lot of conversations with myself or whatever, and I think that outside of my mom making me act, I feel like part of my isolation, or not isolation, but my being alone, no friends, whatever. I feel like that probably made me a good actor.
Yeah.
And the reason why, in a weird way, is because if somebody didn't really have friends for a while, when other people started to, learn and become, they started to interact with their peers and whatnot, and I was by myself, I was like, maybe I started to observe without realizing it. And then I started, I've noticed patterns very well, like I've told you, which I really do. And some people are surprised at how well I do. But I noticed patterns very well. Started to like observe people, notice people from the outside in, this and that. Then I started getting friends or whatever. I started interacting more. But I feel like it jump-started my observation and whatnot. So if I have to portray a certain character, role, whatever, my ability to observe is there.
Yeah.
Without me even realizing how maybe acute it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I honestly I feel like as far as mental health, like I mean I aside from the like the depression or depressive state or whatever I went to in 2018, which is where I gained like 45 pounds, lost 25 from just living a normal life. Aside from that, and that was for a different reason, PTSD from being held up.
Mm-hmm. And we can go into that, actually.
I went through a depression in 2018 and didn't realize it until it was over. PTSD from being held up, as well as psyching myself up from like, I gotta move out of town now. But aside from that, I'm always very much like in a good headspace as far as like I'm happy. Happy-go-lucky, whatever that. I think the biggest thing is sometimes I was thinking this on the way, like last night on the way up here too, because I was like, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. But one thing I always find myself kind of thinking sometimes is that I jump to, not all the time, but at times jump to probably thinking that the word I keep thinking of, and this is for lack of a better word, is betrayed, and that's like harsh. But I keep thinking like, okay, maybe they don't want me around, and it's like it's probably not that deep. It's probably not that deep, and that goes back to elementary. Yeah, and that goes back to when I wasn't wanted around, and this is that, and like I'm in a much better headspace, but it was hard for a while for me to get to a point where I could accept people making a big fuss about me. Like I remember when I first started cooking years ago, and I was like 22, 23, and they were having a party, like a party for everybody or whatnot. And everybody kept saying like, Jaz, you coming? Jaz, you coming? Jaz, you coming? And again, I'm 22, but it was like weird. I was like, why do I want me to come so bad? This is weird. Come to find out, old girl told me the next day, she was like, yeah, we had a party. It's all over my wall now, but we made you a cake. And I was like, oh, dude. But it was weird because it was like, you know, and then like a few years later, I did a film, like a short. And my mom is an actor, like I said, the reason why I'm an actor.
Incredibly talented.
Stupidly talented, like. But anyway, she was doing a short, like directing it and like conducting it, with like making everything work type, directing, show running, all that stuff. And she was doing it and everything like that. And then they were having a screening. And this was when I was still living with my brother, and they were having a screening on.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
They were having a screening on the day of my birthday, and I didn't go to the screening, and it was weird. And now I'm good. Now it is what it is. But it was just weird for people to make a big fuss out of me, and I was pretty sure that they probably were like going to make it a big deal. Yeah, because it was like, yo, you had like the prominent role in the film. This is a screening and it's your birthday. Let's make a big deal out of you. And that was like, so for my mental health, and like I said, I've been very candid, like with you, with Jeremy, with a lot of people. I've been very candid about the fact that a lot of my mental health is figuring out that I'm not as bad as I think I am sometimes. Yeah. In layman's terms. Like I had to come to terms with the fact that you know, no arrogance, but I had to come to terms and say to myself, I'm a good actor. I still haven't fully gotten there with I'm a good rapper, but I had to tell myself I'm a good actor. And it was just like, it took me a while to say that. And I told you the day that I just randomly thought it. The next day I woke up and I cried because it was like I could finally admit it to myself. So that's probably the biggest thing for me is, like I said, figuring out that Jaz Tucker is not as bad as Jaz Tucker thinks he is. And yeah, I mean, it's been years and years and years that I could finally be like, everybody can make a big fuss about you and it's okay. And I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
See, I still don't like it when people make a big fuss about me. As much as it's funny that you bring that up too, because like, you are in no way an arrogant person.
Yeah.
Like
I've had so many people be like, you could probably be more arrogant.
You could honestly stand to be a little bit more arrogant about your talents and your abilities or whatever. But
Thank you.
I don't think I'm arrogant, but
you come off a little arrogant at times.
I portray myself as arrogant, and that's in a weird. And
I know you're not, but you come off a little bit.
So. Yeah, in a way, it's like a defense mechanism.
I can see that.
Like, I don't want people to get too close to the soft inner shell, so like, or the soft like gooey middle. Like, I'm wrapped in barbed wire, and then there's like bulletproof glass, and then titanium.
God damn! We still going with the analogy. Don't let me stop you.
And then there's a candy shell coating on the outside because I'm a little bit sweet. Like, but in the mid, like I genuinely am a very sensitive person, but I don't like to portray that. And it's funny that a literal wall, am doing a mental health chat podcast, and I talk so openly and candidly about my own mental health. It's kind of a weird juxtaposition to be like, yeah, I'm totally open about everything, but I don't want to let people in.
And that's why, like, I've always said, and like I said, you, like, us being friends, and it's not just because we're close friends, but us being friends, like, you've seen me interact with other people, whatever. I am an open book with so much shit about my life with people. Because, like, without going super into it, like the women that I've been with, you know, intimately, like, I don't mind telling them everything about my history. And some people will probably be like, well, this is the first time, so maybe it's like, bruh, if we are about to do this, I ain't gonna put up no pretenses about anything, because this might be one time, this might be, you know, forever, but if we gonna really do this, I'm not gonna lie to you about nothing. And if this scares you away, we didn't need to be doing it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, I'm an open book about, like, there's like a few things, because I feel like everybody has something. There's a few things I won't tell everybody, but other than that, I'm like, I
don't think I have any secrets.
I was like, maybe like, but for the most part, it's like, no, I would tell people like anything. I don't care.
It's less to me about like, because I'm an open book too when it comes to mental health and my life history and, you know, all the shit that is Darius. But yeah, I just really don't hold people close to me, to at least to my inside. You can stand on the outside. You might even get past that candy coating, but the titanium and the bulletproof glass and the barbed wire is still there. Like, there are very few people who have gotten past the barbed wire.
And that was the biggest thing with me. And you saw some of my naivete, but that was the biggest thing with me was like, and now it's been years and I'm 32. But
and I'm 30. Holy fuck.
I know, right? Welcome to the 30 Club. Now we just need the other end of the trio. That's going to be what? 2 more years. Yeah. We need the other end of the trio to hit it.
32. Jesus.
I'll be 34. Shut up. What the fuck? But no, I was probably too trusting at times. And that's why, like, I still try to maintain some level of trusting without being naive.
Yeah, it's hard for me to trust people. That is, I can openly and honestly admit that, and that's one thing that I've never really been afraid to say, that I don't really trust people.
Well, I feel like a lot of people who have trust issues or don't trust people are not afraid to tell people.
No, a lot of people are like, no, I don't have trust issues. Well, no.
Pretty much everybody who has trust issues is like, because they want everybody to know I got trust issues, so don't think I'm gonna trust you. Like,
right.
Most people
trust you, but also don't fuck with me because I already don't trust you.
Like, so most people who got trust issues are like, yo.
I am proud to say I'm working through those trust issues, and I think they have gotten a lot better over the years. You know, before there was also a brick wall in between the bulletproof glass and the titanium. There was a brick wall there, and I tore that one down. So, might be putting it back up. You never know. Oh, man. It's getting crazy out here in these streets.
The funniest thing for me, if you don't mind me coming.
No, go ahead.
But I was saying the funniest thing for me is, like I said, like going from, like I said, I'm over it now, and have been over years and years and years been over it. And like I said, had more conversations with Jaz, got over it. Mm-hmm. So making a big fuss about me is like, not only is it I'm cool with it, but now it's like, yo, this is dope. But I would say the funniest thing for me is now kind of going from figuring out like having friends and all this stuff now to sometimes, and I've had other people tell me this and I don't even fully see it, or I guess I'm starting to see it now, but one of my best friends that passed away, Asa, even said like people are drawn to you, and it's just like that is one in the humblest way I could say it. That's one of the craziest things, is to see how many people feel like they're drawn to me or whatnot without me seemingly doing anything to try and attract people.
It's an energy that I think a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not insecure. It's a lot of, I guess humble is more the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I feel like that's one word that you would very much describe me as.
Yeah, like
humble and goofy.
Yeah, like a lot of people who are just like really humble and just charismatic. People flock to them. Yeah, and like.
The one thing I've always thought, what people may or may not be, well, not may or may not, the one why people may be drawn to me is that I'm very non-judgmental. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm very, very non-judgmental about so many people I've met in my life. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of people in the world, whether they realize it or not, are judgmental, like, you know, to an extent. And there are a lot of people who are just assholes. And I'm very non-judgmental. Like I tell a lot of people, like I'm very much live and let live. Mm-hmm. And if I don't like something, I'm not gonna make a big fuss about it. I'm just not going to indulge in it, watch it, whatever.
Exactly.
But I'm not gonna be like, what the fuck? Oh, you know, it's not. No. So I think that's one reason why people might be like drawn to me. But that's the thing, is just like when people are surprised that I'm as humble as I am, or when people are surprised that I have not had as many women, you know, as I've gotten, or when people are, you know, surprised about this or that. Meanwhile, I'm over here like, what do y'all know that I don't, you know?
Like, what's going on?
Yeah, and I've genuinely thought about that too. Like, I was like, what do y'all see that I don't see? So,
I think people are drawn to me because I'm a little mean.
You've said that before. I don't know if that's the case, man.
It is true. It is 100% true, and I've had people tell me that because I'm not. It's not.
You're straightforward. I don't know about mean.
I'm mean.
Okay.
Let's be honest about it. Like, and it's not, and it depends on the person too. Because like, to some people, I am actually mean. Like, there are a few people who I'm like, I'm gonna be mean to you. If I don't like you, I'm not gonna be nice to you. That's just who I am. But to my friends, it's like polite bullying.
It's a joke, yeah.
It's all a joke. It's all a game. It's a kiki. Like,
exactly.
There's no, like, it's like, if I'm gonna read you, that means I like you.
I wouldn't be your friend for this long if you really were that mean to me.
Yeah, but I think people are drawn to me because I have that energy about me where I'm just like, okay.
That's weird.
I don't think so.
Why would people be drawn to someone who's mean?
Because everybody is afraid to be mean.
Do you say, okay, because you're mean to them, or just because? That's what I'm saying. Or because they know that in your life you're not gonna get pushed around and shit.
That, but a little bit of the.
Because I can respect that.
If you can dish it, you can take it. You can poke me right back. I'm not gonna be offended by anything. But I also am going to be the first person to tell you this is bullshit and I don't appreciate it.
And that's what I mean. That's a straightforward thing.
Yeah. So like, I feel like it's a combination of the two, where people appreciate my honesty and my candor.
Yeah.
But they also appreciate my reads.
Because I mean, you want somebody on your team who is gonna tell you the truth straight up, and you want somebody on your team who is like, if some shit goes down, you gotta have the person who's not afraid to speak up. So yeah, no, that's why I'm That's why I'm like, I don't know what mean, but I mean,
yeah. So kind of swerving back to the topic of mental health.
Word.
I do want to talk about our shared experience with PTSD, but first I want to go back a little bit to the time when you were a kid and you didn't have friends. How did that affect you at that time, and what ripple effects has that had in your adulthood, other than the stuff that you've talked about, like on the negative side of the spectrum?
It's so funny because it's one of those things where it's like I said, if I'm 32 and elementary school ends at 10, then that was 22 years ago. That's crazy when you even think about it like that, right? Yeah, because that would mean that it was like 01 when it was done, right? And the biggest thing that I think about with that stuff is some things, and some people say I overthink, but I've never really looked at myself as an overthinker. Sometimes, but most of the time I looked at myself as just like somebody curious or somebody who tries to figure things out even more about myself or whatever. But when it comes to that, it's like, I know it was a big deal, but it's like, at this point, is it still as big a deal now as I feel it was, because I've had so much time to quote unquote get over it? I hope that makes sense. Okay.
No, it absolutely does.
Because it's like, if somebody was to push you down when you were 5, that's a big deal when you're 5, but it's like when you're 27, which would be 22 years, when you're 27, is it as big a deal still, or did it still affect you? And that's what I mean, and that's why I go back and forth with, like, you know,
just from my own personal experience, the trauma that I experienced as a child still affects me to this day. Like, and
it depends on the magnitude too.
Yeah, and not nearly as much as it used to, of course. There are some things, like not being able to drive is something that I recently realized.
I remember I was asking you, why, what's up? And you told me, right?
Yeah, like that's something that I recently realized was a trauma that I experienced. And I'm like, oh shit, I remember the trauma. I remember it happening, but I thought I just immediately got over it, because kids just immediately get over that shit. Right. But I think, like you said, it does depend on the severity of what happened and like how long it happened, what it was, all this other stuff.
But I mean, it like I said, and this is more of a recent thought, is the whole, like, it's been this long, as much as I've gotten over it, as much as I'm okay, as much as it don't really define me, as much as I don't tell everybody, as much as I used to, as much as I move past and you know, not acquiesced, acclimated to life. Acquiesce would be the very wrong word. I haven't submitted to life. I mean, I guess I have, but as much as I'm acclimated to life and whatnot, it's one of the things where it's like, it's been this long, Jaz. It's like, you're not over that, but it's like, well, at the same time, that was like, what, 5-6 years, and that's like when you first start to interact with.
Yeah, so you're spongiest.
Yeah, it's when you first start to interact with people, you're interacting with peers, you're figuring out how the world works. You're this, you're that, you're blah, blah, blah. And I think that the biggest thing with that is, like I say, well, I know you said on the negative side, but on the positive side, one thing that I think it helped in a weird way is, because of the fact that I didn't interact with my peers for so long, and I even told somebody this, I was like, because I didn't interact with my peers for so long, for 10 years I didn't. I'm noticing now so many people just starting to try and figure out who they are, and I've already kind of figured out who I am, and had these conversations and whatnot. But socially, I'm behind. And I've thought about certain things that have happened in my life, certain things like this is that. And I'm like, I had 10 years on everybody to figure out who I was, but I'm behind 10 years on everybody socially. Mm-hmm. And that's I have a lot of conversations with myself about a lot of stuff. So it's like in some situations, socially, you could say I'm 22. Mm-hmm. But in some situations with other people, maybe you could say I'm 32 or maybe I'm 42. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But no, the negative side of how it affected me, like I remember I was always the smart kid, the nerdy kid. And I'm like, nobody necessarily called me a nerd, but I was like the smart like kid and up to the side that nobody really wanted to like be with. I used to get picked on and whatnot. I remember when I did finally start getting I got like a friend or two in 4th grade and 5th grade. And I remember it was one of them things where it was like, you're friends with Jaz, and then people wouldn't necessarily admit to being my friend to other people. Mm-hmm. And it was just, yeah, of course it affects you. You know it hurts. Yeah. But all my teachers loved me, mm-hmm. right? And I don't think I was a teacher's pet. I just didn't make a big fuss, and I did what I had to do in class, as opposed to the kids who did make a big fuss and didn't do what they had to do. Yeah. I ran into my 1st grade teacher 6 years ago, maybe, randomly at one of the old restaurants I used to work at. And I was like, Miss, I'm not gonna say her name, but I was like, Miss So-and-so? And she was like, yeah, I'm her. And I was like, it's like, you remember me, don't you? And she looked at me. She's like, Jaz Tucker, you were my best student. And like, we hugged each other. And that was like 1st grade. Mm-hmm. So that was like 20 years later. But no, like the biggest thing was like it is crazy to say this. And it's like, I don't know if I had a breakthrough just now, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like I've had this conversation with myself too. But that is probably what started my feelings of being unlovable. Mm-hmm. Because like one of the things is like some people have said to me, how come this and how come that and how come that and how come this as far as social stuff. And one of the biggest things was just like hard for people to make a big fuss out of me. It was like it was hard for me to feel like kind of worthy of it. The biggest through line in my life is probably, like I said, realizing I'm not as bad as I think I am.
Yeah. It's so weird how much we have in common.
You said that to me.
It's so weird. But like on the opposite, like we're two sides of the same coin. Where your feelings of like feeling unlovable and like not feeling worthy came from like bullying and like not having friends and all this other stuff.
It came from my peers more. Yeah.
Mine came from like me. Like I just was like, I don't know, it was weird. Like, I guess it came from my dad, to be completely honest.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Because I felt like, in a way, it started before that. Like, a lot of people, when I always talk about how horrible high school was for me, people are like, oh, is it because of, your sexuality? Like, did you come out of high school? I did come out of high school. That's what I would assume you would. My sexuality was literally the last, I got called faggot all through elementary school, even before I came out, before I knew what that even was. I got called all kinds of fag, queer, all this other stuff. And none of that shit affected me. Even after I came out and people tried to like, okay, but like something about not, I guess, yeah, it really came from, my dad being in the house and that whole situation. It was like, it made me unable to trust anybody except for my mom and my siblings. And it made me realize, or not realize, but it made me think that I wasn't important. That if I wasn't doing my absolute, even if I was doing my absolute best, it's still not good enough. And that in turn made me feel like, well, shit, like I'm not. The only reason for a long time I celebrated my birthday was because I was like, oh shit, I wasn't going to make it to another birthday. Like that is, and I've talked about that openly and candidly. I celebrate my birthday so aggressively because I did not think I would have this many more birthdays.
Your 30th was dope.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched that video, if you're listening on Spotify, go to my YouTube channel and watch my Evolution Ball video. It's so much fun.
It was fun.
But like, yeah, it's just interesting to hear how people are affected so deeply by their past.
Yeah, man.
And so similarly, but so differently at the same time.
Because we, like you said, we had different ways of how we got there.
Because I had an overabundant. I had more friends than I wanted. Like, truly and honestly, there were people that tried to be friends with me that was like, leave me alone.
I've had people now when I've told them over the years, and I mean from like high school until now, when I told them that I didn't really have like friends in elementary, and I had people be like, I find that hard to believe. I've had so many people tell me I find that hard to believe. And I mean, I guess I can take that as a compliment, but it's just like, no, it wasn't there, man. It didn't happen. I remember being this is one thing I've thought several times within my life, and I definitely but I remember being a very like good student in elementary school, going to middle school, and the first little like quarter semester, whatever, my grades suffered, and I thought about it, and it was because I finally had friends. I was distracted. I did not care. Yeah, the biggest through line in my life, like I said, whether it is probably going to be something that has as much of a tight grip on me, or the grip loosens, because the grip is loosened now from what it used to be. But the biggest through line is going to be there. It's probably going to be that. That's going to be the biggest thing with me. Yeah. Like I said, it's the reason why I feel like I've had confidence in every aspect of my life except for trying to find a mate, mess with the opposite sex, and all that stuff. And then I've had people tell me like, dude, the way you act, you don't have a Rolodex of ladies. And I'm just like, apparently you see something I don't. But that's like, honestly, like I said, if you want to go to that, we can talk about that. But that's the one thing where it's like, I feel like I have confidence in every aspect of my life. That's the one thing that has taken me the longest, and is still taking me a while to figure out, is women and trying to interact with, like I said, the opposite sex.
Earlier in the conversation, we talked about our shared PTSD experience.
Right.
Do you want to tell the story?
I mean, are we gonna tell like the story, or are we just gonna talk about?
I'm fine with telling the whole thing.
I'm fine with telling it too.
Yeah.
All right. Again, speaking of naive,
this is a naive moment for both of us.
Well, it's really one for me, I guess, but I guess both of us. So, where we were still doing our old YouTube channel.
So, for those of you who don't know, Jaz and I had a YouTube channel. 6-7 years ago now? It's been a minute.
Crazy. It's been that long.
Hot
we started in like 2015, I guess.
Yeah.
Dang, it's been that long.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Bruh, 2015 was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That means I've been out of high school for 12 years. Wow. That's gross. Anyway, so we had a YouTube channel called Same Difference way back in the day. I'll link like one of our more popular videos on the YouTube version of this. But like, so we did movie reviews, which is where Jeremy came into play. We did skits. We did music for a while. I don't know if our album is even still online anywhere where you can listen to it. I
think the payment to TuneCore for our album lapsed. And
that's why I don't.
And it's not up there no more. Yeah.
Well, we had an album. If we can find it, we should upload it to Bandcamp. If you still have the tracks, we should upload it to Bandcamp.
You don't have yours? I still got it.
No, my laptop is dead.
Oh, no, I still got that. I was like, I'm keeping this.
My laptop is dead. I don't have any of it.
I mean, now, when we upload it, be nice, because
it's not good.
We were growing.
Some of the tracks, vocally, are good. Everything lyrically, personally, I think all of our lyrics are a bomb, and I think all of our beats are bomb.
That's what I've always said. I've always told people that I feel like my delivery and confidence got better, but I feel like my writing got better, but I feel like my writing was never bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was never. We would have writing sessions, and like I said, I write really fast.
Yeah.
This week alone, I've written 2 full songs. That's not bragging. That's just, I told myself I wasn't gonna write any music, and here I have written 2 songs.
Meanwhile, I went ahead and finished a verse which was adding 3 bars to a 16.
This is exactly our working relationship when we were working together.
So I wrote 3 bars. Yeah.
If anything, if you can find
that beat was hard.
Pink Elephants is probably my favorite song. Our album was called 20 something because we wrote it. We were in our 20s. Fun. It was so much fun to put that
labor of love.
Together.
We learned a lot. If you want to talk about like one thing that might pertain to just the overall arching of this this like podcast or whatever is just like the fact that we didn't know what we were doing.
No,
and we were just 2 people who just knew that this is what we wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So we didn't let our trepidations and any obstacles or what we didn't know stop us, and we were like, yo, I don't know how to do this. Me either. Want to figure it out together? Yeah. Cool. And which is funny because now you have people look to you about what to do. Same. Yeah. So it's just like and it's just like I've said so many times. I said so many times to people, I didn't have a leg up on anyone about doing music or anything like that. The most I had was somebody just like me who wanted to learn. Other than that,
and the only thing I brought to the table was that I had written songs before. Like I wrote.
We both brought the same amount to the table.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like all I brought with me was that I know how to structure a song.
Oh, yeah.
Not like not like I was like a songwriting master. I just had written a song or two. Like
I thought you were like the only thing I brought to the table. I was like,
no. We brought equal amounts of things to the table.
Yeah. Like, I was like, you brought way more than that.
In my lane of expertise,
the only thing that you previously knew.
I was like, I know how to write a song. I know how to structure a song.
I had written poetry, but it was prose, so it didn't rhyme. So I didn't even know how to mix up rhyme. Anyway, so we had a YouTube channel.
Back in the day, we had a YouTube channel. It's called Same Difference. I'll link one of the videos. If I can find Pink Elephant specifically, I'll link that particular song because that song is fire. But in creating this YouTube channel, we would have these like long, like 3-day filming sessions sometimes.
There were some times where I would spend the night over your house.
Yeah. And we would just
because I was still staying at home at the time, so I would like
I was also living at home.
I think I had like moved back in with my mom after being like on my own and had to move back for a second. So I would just text my mom at like 11, be like, "Yep, I'm at Darius's place." Blah blah blah. Yeah. I think for a sec, obviously she know. I think for a sec she started thinking something was going on.
A lot of people thought something was going on because we were spending a lot, but we were creating this,
and it was like nothing ever happened.
Nothing ever happened.
But I understand.
When you spend 3 days with another man, and one of the people in the duo is openly queer, everybody's kind of like. What's going on there?
So has he just not told us yet?
So
he has, but has he
not telling everybody in the community he's straight, but he's hanging out with Darius too much.
Oh man,
I wasn't nearly as flamboyant then as I am now.
Yeah, you definitely become more comfortable with yourself.
Yeah, I'm on this gender journey that I don't know what to do with. So,
but yeah, so this is one of those days where I think I got off work, and I picked you up. Or I picked you up from work?
Or did you pick me up from work? Because we were working at the same place at the time.
Was that...
We ever been?
I didn't. I was going to say...
It's closed now. Who cares?
Okay. It's closed. I was trying to... But yeah, okay.
It's closed and I'm shady. It was called Riverbend.
Oh, that needs to be on a shirt. It's closed.
It's closed and I'm shady. I'm ready now. Right now. Look at that Monday merch.
It's closed and I'm shady. Anyway... So either way, I had picked Darius up for some reason, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember, so at the time, my bank account was overdrafted, and I had my check, and I had not cashed my check. I had drugged my feet a little bit on cashing my check. So my bank account was overdrafted, and everybody know that if you need money and your bank account is overdrawn, first thing that's gonna happen when you put the money into your account is gonna eat it.
Take it, yeah.
And if you already brokety broke and it's gonna eat it, then you don't put the money in there. You turn it into cash, and you just ration that cash out, and you just keep letting that pile up until you got enough to pay it off. Mm-hmm. And if you can't ever pay it off, then oh well, too bad, so sad. Bank, we in the same position, aren't we?
So now we both broke.
Nah, that's what you get for trusting me. Now let me stop.
You hear that, Banks? You heard it here first, folks. Don't trust Jaz Tucker.
Oh man, if I had a nickel, no, then I'd be poor. Anyway, that was so stupid.
And we get robbed again.
But anyway,
spoiler alert. I'm glad we can laugh about this.
I'm gonna say thank we can laugh about it, right? Because when it happened, we were not laughing.
I was crying actually.
Yeah, and I ended up crying later that day. But yeah, so I picked Darius up, like I said, and I didn't want to put my check straight into my bank because it would have eaten it. So I needed to find somewhere to cash a check. It was a Sunday, so no banks and whatever were open. And you were like, "Hey, there's a place right up the street from me. We can go to this gas station, convenience store, whatever, cash checks."
Yep. Now, if it had been during the day, I feel like it would have been different. Because we would have maybe noticed a car following us. Because it would have been light outside. But it was nighttime. And I had... Ooh, excuse me. To be fair, I had cashed my check at this place many a time.
Really?
Yeah, because I cashed my check at the same time. Yeah.
That's why you suggested it.
I cashed my little... I was a server. Jaz works in kitchen, obviously. I'm a server.
Yeah.
So most of my money at the time was cash, but I still got a check because I was bartending as well, and bartenders got paid a little bit more. So I still would have like a $50, $60 check, whatever. So I had cashed my check at this place many times during the day. And walked to the place, walked home from the place.
And walked home?
Yeah.
No, I'm like, that's even more of an opportunity for somebody to get you.
Yeah, I had no issue. So I was like, oh, it's fine. I know I live a little bit in the hood, but, it'll be...
Because it wasn't really hood.
It was the hood.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
It wasn't the hood I grew up in.
Yeah, no, it wasn't South City hood, but...
No, I grew up in North City.
North City. It really wasn't North City.
No, I'm saying, it wasn't like the hood I grew up in.
It was in between.
I would have known to watch my back around there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we go and when you said it was really up the street from your house, it was 3-minute drive.
Yeah.
So it was not far at all.
Yeah, it was not.
So we go. I cash my check. Now this might have something to do with it too when you're talking about you cash your check and nothing happened and it was during the day or whatever. But it might have something to do too because when you cook and all your money is hourly, maybe it was more money. So maybe that also enticed the people.
Money is money to people who rob you.
This is true because when I was 15, somebody tried to strong on me for $5, and not gun, but dude, he tried to punch me and take $5.
Yeah, they took my money too, and all I had was the money from that check. Had I made? Oh, and I hadn't made that much in tips because it was slow.
But no, so I go. We go to the place. I think I bought something. I probably didn't buy anything, but I said, "Yo, can I cash my check?" And the way I was always kind of taught and learned whatever was that when somebody gives you money, before you even move it off the counter, you count it back in front of them to make sure, just in case. So it could be like, "Yo, okay, you gave me $107. Count out $107 because otherwise it could be $105. You owe me $2." So I remember counting it back all the while. If somebody's watching, they're like, "Oh,
they were like,
is that much? Is that?" And it was more than $107, like $300 something maybe. So what's funny is because we also have two different accounts of the situation after we got back to your place. But we get back to your place and we get back to Darius's place, which is about 3 minutes away, and pull into the driveway. And we pull into the driveway, and we didn't even linger in the car.
No, we were
about to get out.
Yeah,
that was the thing too. Was we didn't even linger, so it wasn't like we gave them an opportunity. But they ran up on us in the driveway.
There's two ways that you can get to this gas station from my house. You can either go straight down the street, which is what we did, or you can take any of the many side streets that connect. So what they did essentially was follow behind us, turn, and then come around to see which street we were turning on to turn into my driveway or whatever. And so they just pulled up right behind us like that.
I have since come to terms, at least to a large extent, maybe not fully yet, but come to terms with just how I acted in that moment. because they always say, like what Mike Tyson used to always say. What was the quote he said? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Mm-hmm. Man. And it was like I've always said to people that you never know what you would do until it happens to you, but I pray it never happens to you. Mm-hmm. My first instinct, and I since had to look you in the face and apologize and hope that you were cool with it, and you were like, bruh, whatever. But my first instinct was when the dude ran up to his passenger door and my door was half open, I just took off. Which is the dumbest thing you can do when somebody has a gun.
When somebody has a gun, yeah.
But my brain was just like, gun, run. So I take off. I don't know what was happening with you. That's why I said we have two different sides of the story, because I run off. I run to the house next to us. It's night, whatever. I look back, again, hindsight 2020. And all the people who are watching who are like, I would have done this, you should have done that. It's like, really you can say all of that stuff. You don't know what the hell you gonna motherfucking do. Mm-hmm. Can I curse?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because I haven't cursed this whole time. And not even intentionally, I haven't cursed this whole time. But you don't know what the hell you gonna motherfucking do until there's a gun in your face. Mm-hmm. So I run to the house next door and I'm thinking like, I want to knock on this door, but my brain is like, yo, if I knock on this door and they hear it, they might just shoot Darius just to be like, fuck it. And that was the first thing I thought. Now, hindsight, I should just be like, yo, we getting robbed, call the police, help us, blah, blah, blah.
Mind you, we are in my driveway. The driveway to my home where I live. Yeah,
we would have gone right in there, and the people who I ran next door was just across his lawn. Yeah. But I was like, and I was at the door like, not knowing what to do, because I was about to knock, but I thought if I knock, they hear a noise, boom. So I was like, oh my God. So I don't know what I thought I was going to do, but I ran back. And I was like, what did that do? But again, you don't know what you're going to do. Clearly my fight or flight is flight, I guess. At least in that moment.
We were like, I couldn't go anywhere anyway. But like we were truly the embodiment of fight or flight in that moment.
Yeah. And I come back because I'm like, I don't know what I was gonna do, but I come back. Somehow I ended up on the ground. I tripped over the law on my feet. I don't know. I ended up on the ground, and I still kind of have like this image of the silhouette of somebody standing over me with a gun, and I have my money in my sock, going up in the hood. Have money in my sock, and I couldn't pretend like I didn't have money because they saw that we had money. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't gonna pretend like I didn't have shit. So I was on the ground like this. I threw my money at my sock on the lawn, and I was like, "There it is, man. There it is. Yo, there it is." And then he like stood there for like maybe another second or two, snatched it, ran off. And I remember after that, I was just like thinking, oh, and then they skirted off, and I heard pow, and I remember like being like, oh shit. I walked up to the car slowly because I'm like, oh shit. My thought was I'm gonna have to walk back and see this dude with a hole in his face. Like, so I was just like, what the fuck? And then I heard you yelling, Jaz, and then I'm like, kind of even more in shock because I'm like, wait, what? Mm-hmm. The fuck? They just fired in the air just to be like, ah ha ha, are we scared or whatever the fuck, one of them two. Yeah. But I'm like, and then I started thinking like, okay, now I gotta face this man, because I left him. And yeah, no, seriously, that really fucked with me for a minute.
Yeah, no, I know.
And it was just like, and then of course we called the cops. The cops ended up coming later. I thought it was really cool. Like a lot of your family came to. Like,
damn near my whole family came. Like,
and then my mom came because I remember I called her on the phone to let her know what happened. And my mom was like, "Do you want me to come?" And she made the drive just to comfort me. That was when I started crying, actually, was because I was on the phone with my mom talking about what happened. And I don't know if I ever told you this, not that it was a secret, but I cried on the phone with my mom because I was like, Mom, I know you don't like me to curse that much around you or whatever, but I was like, I feel like a bitch because I left him in the car to die. And that fucked with me.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I was crying because I was like, I feel like a bitch. And she was like, Jaz, I know. I was like, I know you don't want me to curse. And yeah, that was like, yeah. It gave me a little bit of chills just now remembering like how
I do actually have like a little bit of a chill too thinking about it because it's fucking traumatic.
No, like the phone call and remembering that. Because it was like, I was like, my first instinct was to leave my friend in that car. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I remember breaking down on the phone about that part. I mean, I guess before we go into it, if you want to tell, like, yo.
So, from my perspective, same situation, they come up to my side of the car. I assume they were going to come to both sides of the car, but you were already mostly out of the car. So they came up to my side of the car. The one guy came up to my side of the car and like pushed my door closed and was like, don't even move. And I was like, oh shit, I'm literally getting robbed right now. And then I look over and see Jaz run. And then I was like, where the fuck is he going? And then I saw the guy run behind him and I was like, oh my God, my friend is about to get killed because he ran away. Like it never crossed my mind to be mad that you left me in the car.
Yeah.
Ever. I was
apologize to you
worried
so much
profusely. I was more worried that because you ran, you were going to get shot. So, guy is gonna it really is true. Like, you don't know what you're going to do until there's a gun pointed in your face. So this guy is pointing a gun in my face. I give him my wallet, my brand new Versace wallet. I was pissed.
Damn.
I was so pissed about it. But I give him my wallet. I had like a crossbody bag that was tucked on the floor that I guess he couldn't see, that had like my keys, my tablet, like it had a bunch of stuff in it that would have been valuable. So thankfully he didn't see that, but like he took my phone, he took your phone, or I handed him my phone and your phone.
Because my phone,
give me the phones. And
my phone was left in the cup holder, right?
Yeah, and so I gave him the phones, and then he like made like he was gonna hit me with the gun. He might have even hit me with the gun. I don't even really know.
That's so funny that you don't even remember. Man.
The one thing that I remember the most is just like the calm that I felt.
Yeah.
Like, it was so weird. Because you would think in that moment that you would be terrified that you're gonna get shot and you're gonna die.
I know.
But I'm like, listen, the only thing I can do is give you everything I have and not fight back. Like, you have the upper hand, you have the gun. So either I can get shot in my friend's car or I can give you all this shit and you will hopefully go away. So I gave him all the shit and he went away. I got out of the car, I think once I saw the other guy run by, and then that's when they shot up in the air. And I get my keys out. I unlock the door. My mom was at home.
Yeah. That messed with your mom for a minute.
Yeah, that really fucked her up. I had my shoe. But my mom was at home, so I was also living at home. So I like unlocked the door. My mom was like, what's going on? I go, Mom, call 911. We just got robbed in the driveway. And then that's when I came back out and called for you. And then you came up on the stairs. And then my mom is on the phone. She's shaking. My mom is already like emotional and scared. And they heard the commotion because they were sitting in the living room. And then they heard the gunshot and they were like, what the hell? That was way close. And then I come barreling in the door. So my mom is like on her phone, shaking, trying to call 911. And she's like, oh my God, I can't even do it. And I'm like, give me the phone. So I take the phone. I still incredibly calm. Take the phone, call 911, tell them what happens. And the second I hang up the phone, I burst into tears.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember you crouching down in like a ball.
It was dramatic, like a movie. Like, I was in the kitchen, I slid down the fridge, like I was so
I remember that
shaken. And I don't even really know why. I think it was because my sense of safety was disrupted.
Yeah. Oh hell.
Like, you think you can, you think stuff like that would happen like while you're downtown. Like, I worked at a hotel downtown St. Louis, and I would be leaving with money in my pocket at 2 a.m. from this hotel, and never got robbed, never, anything like that. Nothing negative ever happened to me. But in my home, like in my driveway, that was the thing that fucked me up the most.
I remember you kept saying for the longest, it was in my driveway.
Yeah, in my driveway. Like, I was so tore up about that. And then I was scared for my mom because, like, what if they came back? What if, all this other stuff? My brother was living there and he came from the basement, like, put his shoes on and ran off and tried to chase him down the street.
I didn't know he did all that.
Yeah. Yeah. He was pissed. pissed.
Y'all was saying he was, because he got quiet, and y'all said when he gets quiet. Because to me, he looked like he was like upset, but not as mad as y'all said.
No.
But y'all say y'all know that when he gets quiet like that.
When my older brother is silent.
Because he's such a, he's such a fun-loving dude.
Yeah, he's like, when that man go quiet, listen. If he quiet, you better run. But so my older brother was pissed. My sister came with my nieces. So I have 3 siblings, 3 older siblings. I'm the youngest of 4. All 3 of my siblings showed up with my nieces. My aunt came with my cousin and my other cousin, who is not like a blood cousin, but the cops showed up and did fingerprints and
fingerprinted us, questioned us, asked us what happened, this, that, right?
Yeah, all of that, and then so for a while after, I think I, in a weird way, got over it faster than you did.
You got over it faster than me. You did,
and I don't know how. I don't know. I think I just have been so close to death so many times that I was just like, well, it's gonna happen eventually.
There was one incident that I still remember to this day that I've kind of gotten over it, but I'm still like embarrassed-ish about it. Was like the time that I pulled in your driveway not too long afterward, and then like drove off the lawn.
Oh yeah. My sister came.
Yeah, she was like, "What the hell wrong with him?"
She was like, "What's going on with Jaz?" I was like,
but it was because of that. It was because it was like it happened here. It's not too long from when it happened.
Situation to what happened,
and it was like another car pulled into the. But she was just letting me out.
Yeah.
But it was like another car. So I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing? And I was like, am I boxed in and drove off and I called you like, oh my God, man.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I was like, it's all good.
Looking back on it, it's like stuff like that is like, you make peace with it up to an extent where it's like, as embarrassing as it is, you know why.
Yeah,
but it was embarrassing.
And honestly, you shouldn't feel embarrassed about that. Like, truly and honestly, the proximity to when the actual
that was very recent.
It was very, very recent, and also PTSD is something that you just don't know when it'll be triggered. You could be 20 years from now totally healed from it, and then somebody could pull up behind you in the driveway, and you would freak out again just because that's how PTSD works.
And speaking of that, after I had basically I guess to bring it full circle of what so after that had happened and I had started getting over that and getting more and more cool with it. I mean, to this day when I drive now, I'm a little more observant. Because I was the one driving and I wasn't being as observant as I should have been. So I'm a little more observant, period. Yeah. But like I said, I went through like the depression that I went through for how many months where I gained all that weight and everything, and I still got some of it, left from how slimmer I used to be. And it was like few years after it happened, probably 2 or 3 years after that it happened, I think me working myself up to thinking I had to move to Chicago and the way I had to do it and how I was going to do it and I got to get it and oh my God and blah, blah, this, that. And then the PTSD crept in and both of them smacked me upside the head and was like, nah, bruh, lay here, blow through them savings. Don't do shit. And then that's why I was like, yeah, I was basically the same. I was the same size for my whole life. And then, like I said, I gained a lot of weight in a few months because all I did was lay in bed and eat pizza all day. And I lay in bed, watch YouTube, eat pizza. And I remember around that time, I was staying with my brother. I didn't do much of nothing except lay in bed, watch YouTube, eat pizza. And I did not leave too much except maybe certain times during the day or certain times at night. But I didn't leave my house that much. Mm-hmm. And that was because the PTSD came back. And I was afraid to walk outside. Oh no, what's going to happen? And I remember my brother even coming in sometimes to be like, are you all right, man? What? Are you good? Because I wasn't doing shit. Yeah, and then like I said, I gained a lot of weight and I lost at least 20, 25 pounds when I finally got out of whatever that stupor was because I was just living a normal life. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I was 235, 240.
Oh.
At one point, yeah. A lot of people didn't see me because we were so entrenched in the acting world that I wasn't acting at that time because I wasn't doing anything. So when I gained the weight and then lost it, nobody saw me gain or lose anything.
Yeah.
For the most part.
Because I think we had stopped YouTube at that point too.
Yeah.
Like weren't you coming over so we could film? Like, weren't we gonna have another long filming session or whatever? Isn't that what was when we got robbed?
Oh yeah. I thought we said that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we had said that or not.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think the most that I had after I come out of it and started acclimating back to everybody else, besides the weight that I was still carrying, was I had that big bump on my eye.
Oh yeah,
that was bad. That was bad. Like I said, when I was coming out of that rut, well, one of the tell signs of depression is you're not cleaning yourself. So I was not cleaning myself as much as I should have been. But no, that was like the PTSD from that. It was the weirdest thing because it was like initially it hit me, which is expected. And then whatever happened around that, and then I got over it, started getting over it, being cool, whatever. But then working myself up to being like, I'm about to move to Chicago to pursue acting and all that stuff, and move to Chicago. And then that also crept back in, and then both of those things, it was almost like it had handcuffed me, like locked me in my apartment. That was weird.
Yeah,
because it was weird, like you said, 20 years later. That wasn't 20 years, but it was weird that it had hit me a few years later, and it hit me worse than it did initially.
Yeah,
that was yeah.
I remember that time, and I remember being not even necessarily scared, because I was like, I still got to live life and I still got to go do things. And like, I don't drive. Talked about this a bunch. And so I was riding the bus, and my bus stop was on the opposite side of where we got robbed from. So I would walk down the street. Well, actually there were two, but I never walked in that other direction. I always went to the one bus stop. And I know for a while we were trying to move from that house. We were like, we need to not live here. Like,
because y'all got robbed.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying not live here beforehand, and then that just exacerbated.
My mom and I both were like, this is not safe. Like, this neighborhood is not safe.
The robbing was like,
yeah, because like a couple other people had gotten robbed, and like,
oh man,
I think some people's houses had gotten broken into.
Nah.
I think the major point of kind of this episode has been duality and how things affect people differently, and how at the end of the day, you can have similar similar paths, but completely different experiences.
Okay.
And that's why I like doing this so much. I just gotta look at you. I do, because like I think I said at the beginning of this episode, this is my first chat with an ally and not somebody who has been diagnosed or whatever.
Because I have not been officially like medically diagnosed, and I also don't feel like any level of self-diagnosis is appropriate. Like, as far as I am concerned, I don't have any mental health serious like clinical mental health issues.
That also is the point of this series, is to talk to people who don't experience it, but realize that even if your daily life isn't fighting against this extra voice in your head that's telling you ain't shit, or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia or whatever, what have you, any kind of mental health, diagnoses, that you still can appreciate where we come from as mentally ill people, and still have an understanding. And also that all those things that traumatized you can affect you, but you can grow from them. I think that's a really big, important thing for people like myself, like several other guests, like people watching this need to understand, is that growth is not optional, and it's painful as hell. Like, I've said this many a time, people do not tell you how much healing hurts. And it's like, it's like healing your physical body. If you break your leg, it's going to hurt for a while, but then it gets better. And it's not the same, but it's better.
A physical therapy and all that. Like,
yeah.
It's painful, but it's for the better.
But it's for the better. Yeah. And I think talking to you right now and like just the conversation, which is a conversation we've had a million times.
And we would have had a million of these. We're going to have a million of these in the future.
Yeah. Yes. Like it's a conversation we've had so many times and we'll continue to have. But it's so nice and refreshing to know that people don't just write you off because you aren't mentally ill or because you are mentally ill or because you have experienced all these horrible things and grew from them. It's like, oh, well, what makes you, what gives you the right to not be mentally ill because you have trauma? Like, girl, everybody ain't that affected by the trauma. Here on Mental Health Chat Monday, we have a motto. I said it in the intro. I did not say it in the intro of Jeremy's video, which was really funny. I went back. When I was editing it, I was like, oh, damn, I didn't say that. And then later in the episode, I'm getting ready to ask this question. And I was like, wait, did I say that in the intro?
That's funny.
So our motto is turning mental illness into mental wellness. What does mental wellness look like to you as a mentally well person?
See, I don't even know if I'm fully a mentally well person. I feel like I'm just a person. But, I mean, if you would like to describe me as mentally well, then I guess I will take the moniker. I think that mental wellness, because I read your welcome letter and breakdown and all that. I was trying to even think like what could that even be, right? And I guess mental wellness is just being content and understanding who you are and being content with you. Not even so, well, I guess being content with the world and yourself, because there is a lot of things that we cannot control. And, you know, just whether it be within us or whether it be within others. And mental wellness is being content. And that is the biggest thing that I would say. One moniker that I have adopted like some years ago, and I mean, I have let this become like one of the biggest things that I go back to remind myself. You can't always expect others to value what you value.
Damn, I just wrote down something else for the title, but I like that even more. Fuck.
But that's a quote that I kind of came up because I feel like everybody goes through, and I've gone through, why would they do so and so? Why can't they blah blah blah? That makes no sense for him to do this. When you're reading news articles, like you hear what somebody else said, and it's like, well, maybe that person over there doesn't think that their kid, as long as they're not mistreating their children, maybe that person doesn't think that their kid should this. Maybe that person doesn't think their car should look this way. Maybe that person decides they want to rent their house instead of buying it. And it's just like, you can't expect others to value what you value. Because as long as people are living their lives and they're not hindering the progression of your life and, you know, hopefully not wanting to harm themselves, others, whatever. If we're all just living, you can't expect others to value what you value. So that's why I would say mental wellness is being content. I close out my podcast that I do with my boy Pete or Omari. But I close out my podcast with always saying, be nice to yourself, everybody. And I got that from Dead Meat, which I watched then with the kill counts, because he says, be good people. And I flipped it to be nice to yourself, because I feel like that's another thing that we need a reminder from. And a lot of stuff that I say to other people or conversations, like I said, I've had a lot of conversations with me trying to figure out who I am. A lot of questions that I may ask somebody or at least think about in conversations with people are things that I've asked myself. So when I say be nice to yourself, it's not just to say it to other people. It's because I'm saying it to me too.
Yeah.
I think that's mental wellness also, is being content. You can't expect others to value what you value, and be nice to yourself.
Word. That's too long for the title, so I'll take a piece of that. And last question, I kind of have to rephrase this a little bit, as you are an ally and not a sufferer.
Word.
However, what is a piece of advice that you can lend to other allies, to as a person with many friends who have mental illnesses.
Some I didn't even know. Some I did know, but some I didn't even know, right?
Yeah. What's a piece of advice you can give to other allies to be in our corner?
I think that allies of a lot of different communities, that if you're not in that community but you're an ally of whatever said community is, whether it be race, sexuality, mental, dealing with gender, whatever, the biggest thing is, like, first of all, don't know that you don't know everything. First off, and then on top of that, don't try and wear that don't try and wear your allyship as a trophy, because a lot of people do that.
Woo, that part. That was like a lot of people do that. Oh my God! Yes,
I'm friends with a blah blah blah. Did you know
have a friend who has depression. Like, okay, and they sad. What are you doing?
And I mean, the biggest thing that I think anyone can do in this life, whether it has to do with the sophistication of what you're doing or just being a friend, listen. That's it.
That has been the number one answer from all of the mentally ill people, is listen.
There you go. Those were the things I'll add, but the biggest one, like I said, just listen.
Yeah. All good answers. 100%. Jaz, I want to thank you for being here. Obviously, we have some work to do with a project that we're working on. Is there anything you want to promote? Social media? Obviously, you have an album out and a production coming up, if you want to talk about any of that.
I am producing a show for the first time. I am very, very fortunate. If you want to speak to my like humble nature.
Oh my God.
My humility, whatever. I mean, I guess then, I'm just humbled by the fact that one, I had the idea to produce and be in a show, and I have the means to do it. So, A Colored Funeral is the name of the show, by Gregory S. Carr, which will be directed by Darius Varner.
That's me.
Produced by yours truly, which I will also be in it with 6 other people, and one of them being my mother.
Very exciting.
And the opening night for that will be June 16th at, we will say 8 p.m.
8 p.m.? Heard. Work.
I mean, if it changes,
you're the producer, so
I was about to say, if it, because I haven't officially said the time yet, but we'll say June 16th, 8 p.m. 2 weekends, so it'll be that weekend, and then the next weekend after that, which I think is the 23rd through 5th. That it will be those 2 weekends. Friday, Saturday 8, Sunday 2. Apparently, that's news to me, because when I knew the dates. First time putting the time on it.
Wow.
But there we go. We're going to keep that.
Amazing.
It is going to be at 517 Theater Lane. It is known as the Theater Guild of Webster Grove's building, even though it is not through them. It is just at their venue, but it's through my production company, Aquarian Rising Productions. So if you want to see my inaugural first produced show, please come down and do it. And I'm so glad I got my good friend to help me out with that one.
I almost said my inaugural directorial debut.
But it ain't though.
But it literally is not.
Very much is not. Also, if you would like to check me out on anywhere you stream your music, now I'm going into the outro I do for my podcast, and I'm like trying not to just like.
I mean, let it rip. That's
but I'm saying like I'm like trying not to just be like But no, anywhere you stream your music. You can go ahead and look me up under the name Super Jaz. That's spelled SUPERJAZ. You can go ahead and check me out on streaming platforms.
One word.
Yes, all one word, yes. And you can go ahead and check out my debut solo album I released a few years ago, like it's that long.
Has it really been 2 years?
2021.
Damn.
called My Secret Identity. You might have to put in Super Jazz, My Secret Identity, since I'm not that famous yet. Also, you can go ahead and check me out on Twitter under the name Super Jazz 2. So that's Super Jazz number 2. You can go ahead and look me up on Instagram under the name Forever Super Jazz, the word forever spelled correctly. And you can also go ahead and check out the podcast that I did talk about a little bit on this show with my best friend of like 25 years or something like that.
Yikes.
Met that dude when I was 7. According to him being older than me, he says 2 years earlier we had actually met. Me, him, and my brother, all like, me and my brother got the same best friend, and we're his best friends, right? And, either way, I've known that dude for over 25 years. We have a podcast called Whatever We Want. So the Whatever We Want podcast. There's another one. So when you type it in, scroll down a little bit, then you'll find us. Yeah, right. Not like all the way, just like a little. We didn't realize we called it another like the name of somebody else, and it was like, what? We was like, we ain't changing it. Anyway, Whatever We Want podcast. We release new episodes every Wednesday, 10 Central, 11 Eastern. Basically, we talk about whatever we want. I always say we do not lead the conversation conversation leads us, and we let the chips fall where they may. We hit episode 100 sometime
100
before this.
Holy
episode
cow.
100. Yeah, and I mean, we got no signs of slowing. And I mean, you know, one of these days this dude will continue to not be on it. No, hopefully I can get Darius and a few other people.
Promoting it, I'll get on it.
But no, check out the Whatever We Want podcast. It's a good time. And also check out Pete's other podcast on his channel, Feo Grande, Feo Grande. He does This Guy Hasn't Seen You with him and another friend of his, Bill Smith, and they talk about movies. And I think they post every Tuesday at 10 Central.
Now you got something to watch Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Word.
Everything to find Jaz will be linked down below, so you can check him out. Definitely check out his podcast. I will be on there eventually. Who knows? By the time this episode comes out, I might have already been on the podcast.
I hope so.
We shall see. What was I about to say? Yeah, everything will be linked down below. Definitely check out his podcast. Check out his album as well. The album artwork was designed by somebody y'all know very well. And yeah, that's all I got for you all today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you next week with a brand new guest on this here podcast, Mental Health Chat Monday. Thank you so much. Again, if you want to find me, I am at DDare Bionic on all social media. It's called branding. Look it up, and I'll see y'all next week. Bye.